Good evening, everyone. It is 7:33 p.m. and the public hearing is open for the comments on the combined annual budget and appropriations of funds for the Wilmette Park District, Cook County, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of January 2020 and ending on the 31st day of December 2020. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Wilmette Beacon, and the combined annual budget and appropriation of funds ordinance has been on display and available for public inspection at the administration offices of the Wilmette Park District, 1200 Wilmette Avenue, Wilmette, Illinois, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday since December 6, 2019. All persons desiring to be heard will now have an opportunity to present written or oral testimony with respect to the 2020 proposed budget and appropriations. First, are there any written or oral comments from the commissioners?
Nothing new.
No. Hearing none. Are there any written or oral comments from the public? Hearing none. Hearing no further comments or questions regarding the combined annual budget and appropriations of funds for the Wilmette Park District, I declare the public hearing closed. We will now move on to the regular board meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners. I'd like to call it to order. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Here.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Here.
Commissioner Schisler?
Here.
Commissioner Clark?
Here.
Commissioner Goebel?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Wolf?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First on our agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from the first up with the November 11th.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the November 11th, 2019 regular meeting.
Second. Are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. Next up on our agenda are some closed session meetings. I do believe there are some comments for these, so we will be moving to closed session to discuss them and will not be taking any action on them right now. So we'll skip over that one on the agenda. Sorry about that. Okay. Moving right along to another set of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting.
A second.
Are there any comments or corrections to these minutes?
I think my only comment, and I think I shared it with Steve, was I think this was the capital meeting, and we did have some conversations about various projects, and although we as a group ultimately voted on the entire capital budget and the budget as a whole, there were some conversations. Some commissioners supported certain projects, others didn't. I just think for future reference, I would like to see some of that memorialized in the minutes.
Okay.
If we were not unanimous on a particular project, I think that's worth documenting.
So it sounds like there will be some corrections that will take place and that we should revisit these minutes at a future meeting and not vote on them this evening.
If everybody else is okay with that.
I would agree with your request.
Okay.
We'll go back and add to them.
Okay. So
Thanks.
we'll skip over that one as well. But we do have a couple more sets of minutes.
Which one are we up to? We're up to December 4th. I move to approve the minutes of the December 4th, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting.
I second.
Are there any comments or corrections to these?
My changes were submitted and incorporated already.
Okay. Any other comments or corrections? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. Finally, one
Like
more.
25
The
times.
first
you
one.
opened it.
It's the first one.
One more set of meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of the December 9, 2019 regular meeting.
Second. Are there any comments or corrections to these set of minutes?
No.
Hearing none.
Were noted.
Corrections noted. All right. Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark? Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Here, yes.
Yes, here, present.
I have a pronunciation or lack thereof.
I'm struggling tonight. I apologize. Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. We will be moving along to our communications and correspondence. I don't believe there were any in the packet. Do any commissioners have any additional correspondence or communications they'd like to add?
No.
It's been a pretty quiet month. Next up is recognition of visitors. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address us? Hearing no one, we'll move along to approving of the voucher list.
All right, I move to approve the voucher list in the amount of $1,384,520.46, a copy of which is to be attached to and become a permanent part of the minutes of this meeting.
And I second.
Are there any comments or questions on the voucher list?
They've already been answered for me.
I had some of the similar questions.
Yes, for me too.
Any other comments or questions? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott.
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf.
Yes.
Voucher list is approved.
Thank you very much. Next up is the Executive Director's Report.
All right, so the bulk of the report was about the budget and appropriation ordinance and public hearing that we've already conducted. Just a recap of what the budget and appropriation ordinance is. We, at the January meeting, approved this ordinance, which sets our legal spending authority. So we set a budget, which is the internal staff guidelines of what we're trying to generate in revenue, where we want to target our spending. But that's internal. The appropriations ordinance is what sets our actual legal spending limits. So the appropriations is similar to budget, but usually gives a little more wiggle room because sometimes things happen throughout the year. So this is an important document, and you have it under new business later on in your agenda. Once it's passed, we file it with the county and it goes on record. Next item in my report is school-related programming. I gave the Parks and Recreation a brief update. The recreation staff, working with Superintendent Gwynn, looking at what we do for after-school recreation, what we do for after-school clubs, looking at the increasing demand in after-school recreation and the decreasing demand in after-school clubs, is trying to reinvent and rethink and reimagine how we do those programs, not for this year, but starting next school year, 2020 into 2021. They've been meeting with the school staff and trying to figure out all the details, answer all the questions, gather all the information the school has asked them to gather. I attended the District 39 Committee of the Whole meeting this morning where the staff introduced the topic to their board. I answered their questions. In general, the board was very interested and excited about the new programming. I think it's going to be well received. They're especially excited about it being offered at Ramona, where school clubs currently don't take place due to the lack of interest in school clubs, but the high interest in after-school recreation. They're a little wary of putting it other places because, as we all know, when you change things, people feel like you're taking something away from them. So we're looking at a slow approach, maybe just Ramona next year, and seeing how it goes and seeing how, if other schools are interested in taking it on. But very supportive reception from the school board, and we're going to work through the details with the staff moving forward. And then lastly, it's that time of the year. It's January, time to start thinking about summer camp. The annual camp guide is scheduled to be delivered tomorrow to our offices as well as the post office, and then hopefully in home shortly thereafter. And then we have our camp open house on January 28th over at the Community Recreation Center from 6 to 7:30, where people can come, speak to people who are in charge of the camps, learn about them, find what the best fit is for their child. And then resident registration begins at 9 a.m. on February 4th, and then a week later at 9 a.m., the non-resident registration will begin. We do online registration and in-person registration simultaneously. Vast majority of our registration comes in online. About 88% of our registration's processed online. So it seems like people like that service. And then that concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions? Yes.
Well, I have one thing to add. We did have one communication correspondence, and it's relevant to what Executive Director Wilson talked about with regard to the appropriations. Mr. Ron Degler did write to the board and thank them for the 0% tax increase this last month, and that might have been the only piece of email we got. So,
I did not
I
see
didn't
that
get it.
Might have been
Did not?
Might have just been to you.
well, as much as I would love to. I thought it looked like he copied everyone.
No.
I didn't get it.
I would remember it.
I would remember that
Somebody
too. Yeah. Said something
I will be sure to share that with the rest of my esteemed colleagues. Anyway, Mr. Degler, thank you for noticing and your email.
And that was Ron Degger?
Ron Degger, D-E-G-R.
Okay, good.
Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can take no credit. I think he's just engaged and interested. So,
He noticed.
Good.
So,
Good.
anyway.
Great. Any other questions for Director Wilson? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will be moving along to, committee reports. First up, we have the Lakefront Committee.
No, yeah, there we go. Another sleepy day, month at the lakefront, except for yesterday where we had, Saturday where we had considerable storms. But I'm here to talk about the Lakefront Committee meeting. Although there was considerable discussion, there wasn't a tremendous amount of forward motion in this last meeting. We did talk about the shoreline protection. I would say the most I'd like to say at this point is that we're in contract negotiations with that firm. Obviously, at the meeting, even prior to Saturday's storm, there's a sense that this is becoming increasingly important, but there's nothing new to report necessarily on shoreline protection, except that we should have a consultant on board very, very soon. With regard to the master plan, a lot of discussions about, what the master plan might mean, might not mean. There were cost concerns both with regard to the master plan fee that's being proposed, as well as the potential for scope creep on the project. Are we enhancing the park? It's the same discussion we've been having for some time. Are we reimagining the park? There has been a call for a board-wide discussion, which I absolutely welcome, for the master plan hiring. In fact, we're not locked in on this yet, but a date of January 29th has been proposed. I don't know if this is the place to nail that down, but there could be a public committee of the whole meeting with the board coming up shortly to discuss the hiring of this, and I think that's a great idea. So looking forward to it. Are there any questions? I mean, I don't have anything new to say, but this is a great opportunity to talk about what we're trying to do, if anybody has anything they want to say or ask.
I would just note the weather over the weekend really illustrated the changing shoreline and the need. So if anyone has been there, and I think all of us have seen our examples, it's pretty remarkable, and so I'm eager to move forward with the information that you're uncovering.
Certainly, and appreciation to staff and those who, kept us informed throughout the weekend of the conditions down there.
And I guess I probably should have just ad-libbed that part of my report, so I'll just add to it. So Saturday, high winds, high waves coming straight off the lake, produced a lot of onshore water levels up in the harbor, over the seawall into the Dog Beach area, waves hitting about 15 to 20 feet off of the sidewalk on Overlook, Sailing Beach underwater, coming down the Sailing Road and into the beach parking lot. A lot of changing of the dunescape, especially along South Beach and the Dog Beach area. Fencing damaged, all of that. The staff worked very hard to try and keep things pumped out of the parking lot, but eventually the Mother Nature won. We have a slushy ice rink down there now. And so with all of that said, I've been in communication with Lake Bluff, Lake Forest, Highland Park, Winnetka, Glencoe, all sharing pictures, all sharing our stories and our experiences. Once again, Gilson holds up stronger and better than a lot of these other parks. Most of their parks are very similar in nature to Langdon, which took a beating as well yesterday. And we're planning on all getting together down at the state conference and sharing pictures and talking about what we've done, what we're looking to do, and kind of sharing our collective wisdom to try and all do best for our separate properties.
Steve, so I went down on Sunday to sort of survey the damages. I mean, in my mind, although there was considerable erosion and a lot of movement of sand, in terms of actual property damage, I would categorize it as minor.
Very.
Okay.
Yes, I would agree.
All right, so not to be complacent on this issue at all. Okay, thank you.
And Steve, we may have some issues with there's at least one tree that's sort of being completely under.
Yes,
mined,
yeah.
And that probably will have to come down.
Yeah, the root ball is now fully exposed as all the sand has been scoured out around it. I believe there's a couple trees that are nearing that condition down there.
I think we also want to caution residents and anyone that might be going down there, if there are conditions like there were on Saturday, just to take heed of any warnings or closures and to not try to, I know everyone wants to see it and take great pictures, but it can be extremely dangerous. And we want to make sure that people are aware that if it is closed off, they shouldn't try to go around any barriers or.
And that's exactly why we ended up closing in the afternoon on Saturday. Just unfortunately witnessed too many risk-taking behaviors out of people. So I just wasn't comfortable. So the staff did a great job down at the lakefront and from the Parks Department in getting things closed. The marketing department did a great job of getting it out on the social media and updating our website. But and the police were very supportive in making rounds and sweeps and trying to shag people out of the park. So, but yes, you're right. When it's like that, it's really cool to see. But view it from a safe distance.
And is it still closed?
No.
The park is not unsafe, but certainly the shoreline in the wintertime in general is very treacherous and
It
unsafe.
can be,
place
and
to
especially when there's wave action like we had on Saturday.
It can be unstable. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else for Lakefront?
Yeah, just in terms of the Gilson planning process, I
Yes.
think there is talk about having a committee of the whole, and I just wanted
Yes.
to support that. At the committee meeting, I think you and I were both present in addition to the three commissioners on the committee, and it seemed to me that based on which subset of people were sort of in the front row, we might have chosen two different consultants. So given that, I just think it makes sense for all of us collectively to weigh in. The other observation I would make is I think when we talked about scope back in September, perhaps it was, I think we decided less is more, but I did want to point out to everybody that at that time we said we didn't want to look at the Lakeview Center, and I think since then we've decided to allocate some funds to do perhaps some planning at the Lakeview Center. So I don't know how that fits into all of this. I just wanted to make that observation.
Well, it doesn't not need, well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think that's a valid point, and I think it'll be a good discussion that we have a committee of the whole meeting where everybody can kind of revisit the topic, kind of see where we are and where we want to go, and have a really good plan for Brian and the committee to take and put into action.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And if we could get the 29th nailed down, that would be very helpful for schedules.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain everyone said they could. I just
Yeah.
can't guarantee that everyone did. So that's why Brian did me a favor and left it flexible at this point.
Great. Anything else?
All right, it's on my calendar now for the
Yeah.
29th.
Good
You'll
enough.
be here.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. We'll move along to Parks and Recreation Committee.
Parks and Recreation Committee met earlier this evening. As Executive Director Wilson had mentioned, we talked a little bit about the school-related programming. I think he gave a great update. We talked about that in a little bit more detail last meeting, and we'll continue to communicate as those plans and details get finalized. For the bulk of the rest of the meeting, we did a deeper dive into pool operations. All three of the commissioners are new to the committee and new to the board, so we had a very comprehensive review of the pool operations, the history, recent activities. We talked a fair amount about the very successful Sizzling September this past year, where we extended the pool hours into September, and we had someone from the New Trier Swim Club who gave us some feedback about the positive situation for them, that they were able to find pool space during that time that we were open. Seems like it was a win-win. The only other thing that's probably worth mentioning is we did talk a little bit about the expected life of our pool. And while most of us feel like the new pool just opened up yesterday, it was 2002, and these pools generally have a life of anywhere from 25 to 35 years or so. And so that's something that sometime in the next 7 to 20 years we may have to look at again. Obviously, it was a significant community process when we looked at it the last time. Not talking about doing that anytime soon, but sometime in the next few years, that's probably going to come up again. So I just wanted to touch base with all the commissioners and let the community as a whole know that sometime down the road we'll be looking at the longevity of the pool. And that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the Parks and Recreation Committee?
Well, I mentioned Commissioner Murdoch, if you're going to take a look at the facility, I would love to tag along and take a look at the facility. So,
Sounds good.
Yes. So I would love to be there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move along to Golf Operations Committee.
Yeah, so while one might think that the Golf Operations Committee is quiet, it's actually a busy time of year from a planning perspective. So in terms of revenue numbers, the final revenue numbers are coming in, and we anticipate that the restaurant will have exceeded its 2019 goal, which is a positive. Additionally, 25 golf outings are on the calendar already, which is a 20% increase than the prior year. And much like summer camp, we're planning for permanent tee times, and staff is eager to provide some upgrades in terms of solutions like integrated card processing and app enhancements and other features. So quite a bit happening. And additionally, the superintendent shared a report on dressing the course for winter, and it is completely ready, which is just in time for the snow we had a few weeks ago. So in terms of our next actions, we'll be thinking through the cart path planning that the staff is undergoing in our next meeting. And that's it for the Golf Operations Committee.
Thank you. Any questions for the Golf Operations Committee?
Well, only because I forget, how many inches of snow do we need before we let people cross-country ski
I
out
believe
there?
it is 3.
3 inches, and we are...
4, thank you. 4 inches
so
to
we're not
protect.
quite, we're
I
not
think
there.
they
Right.
groom it at 6, is that right?
And the greens are cordoned off, so should anyone wander across the golf course, the greens are protected so that cross-country skiers can ski elsewhere. So a little more snow before it's open season.
Anything else for golf? Thank you very much. We'll move along to Financial Planning and Policy Committee, which did not meet, but I don't know if they have any updates or...
Well, I would like to let people know, because next Monday is a holiday, we will not be meeting at our normal time, the third Monday. And I think we are rescheduled for Thursday, the 23rd, if my memory is correct.
27th.
27th?
That is correct. I have it as Monday, the 27th.
Oh, did we
Pushed it
move?
back, remember?
We pushed, that's right. It was the 23rd, now it's the 27th.
Yeah, we moved it twice, but now it's the 27th.
Monday, the 27th. Gotcha. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. We will move along to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before the board? Hearing none. The only thing I wanted to just actually under unfinished business touch base on was the RFP. We're still working with our attorneys, getting all that done.
IGA.
Or sorry, our IGA. Too many acronyms for things.
The
IGA.
IGA for ASR. No, yeah, so, yes, I spoke Friday with our attorney and set a hard deadline for in my hands Wednesday. So 2 days from now, I should have it.
Okay, so that's kind of where we are with that. We're not forgetting about it or anything, holding it up in any way, shape, or form. We're just doing the process.
And to clarify, as far as we know, this, the village is planning on starting this summer with community playfields, and that's on pace. Great.
We're not holding them up.
Right, that was my question, right.
Okay, moving along to new business. We have a consideration of an ordinance.
All right, I move to approve ordinance 2020-0-1, an ordinance making a combined annual budget and appropriation of funds for the Wilmette Park District for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Second.
And just so everyone knows, this is something that we do every year. We go through our budget that we think we're going to be spending. We look at all of our capital expenditures for the year and create a budget, which has been out in the public now for several months, and we've had many discussions and meetings on it, and again, had a meeting prior to this, the public hearing on it, and we are very comfortable and confident of moving forward with this budget. And does anyone else have any other comments or questions? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Ordinance is approved.
Thank you very much. At this time, I move to adjourn to closed session for the review, approval, or release of minutes previously closed under the Open Meetings Act in accordance with Section 2C21 of the Open Meetings Act, as well as for the discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employees of the public body or legal counsel of the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the district or against legal counsel to determine its validity in accordance with Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions? This is just to go into closed session, and then we will return to regular session. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?